Hi, beautiful singers. It's Jenny Lynn, um, online vocal coach and voice teacher. And I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about the number one mistake that singers make, whether they're beginner to advanced, to be honest. It's the one, excuse me, it's the one thing. Let's get a cough drop going as I do this video. It's the one thing that will cause a singer to never become an A-level singer. And that's oversinging. Okay, so before I get into how and why we oversing and kind of give you some demos of oversinging, maybe a few examples of singers that are notorious for oversinging, and then we'll go ahead and go into um, how to stop this issue and how to improve upon your singing so that you're not oversinging. Really quickly, go ahead and check on the links below if you want to work with me privately as a voice teacher. I give online voice lessons as well as in-person voice lessons, and if you live near me in Long Island, New York, but otherwise my students meet with me online. So and they are private one-on-one lessons. You can also get my ebook, A Pretty Voice, 8 Steps to Beautiful Singing. Go ahead and click on those links below and follow me on social media if you'd like. Okay, so back to the topic of oversinging. So oversinging, another way of describing oversinging is belting or singing out the mouth. Another way to describe it is sending all of your energy and tone out the mouth rather than vibrating within the body and resonating within the body. So oversinging is something that I've struggled with my entire life. And I think for me, the main reason why I've struggled with oversinging was not understanding how powerful, first off, vibrations in the body are, not understanding how amazing, how sound can really carry when it's resonated in the body and in the head in particular. It can cut through, a huge opera house with no microphones. It really has a true power in the voice, and just not really understanding that. Also, sometimes I would oversing, or I think singers oversing out of ego, wanting to have a bigger voice, a more powerful voice than maybe you have. Guys, there are all kinds of voices. There are voices that are soft and lyrical, like Kathleen Battle if you love opera, or like Mandy Moore if you love pop music, or Selena Gomez. Those are softer voices, and then there are big, powerful voices like Maria Callas if you love opera, or another powerful voice would be like a soft voice in musical theater would be Kristen Chenoweth, and more so of a powerful voice would be Idina Menzel. In pop music, we have singers like Jennifer Hudson and Lizzo that have bigger, more powerful voices. But truly, having, however big your voice is genetics. It's just the way that God made you. Some people have a lighter, more dainty, more bell-like voice that's suitable for certain kinds of singing, and other people have a bigger, fuller, rounder, richer tone. Of course, all singers want to work on getting a richer, rounder tone, and that happens through a lowered larynx. It happens through support in the voice. It happens as you age and get more mature. There's all kinds of things that will continue to round out the voice, but no, it's maybe more masculine tone voice, you could say as well. So at the end of the day, sometimes our ego can get in the way because we want to be something we're not. We're trying to project to the world something that we aren't. And so oftentimes singers will oversing in an attempt to have a bigger voice than they naturally have. The majority of women out there are what you would call a lyric soprano. And lyrics, like I said, there are full lyrics that have bigger voices, but typically lyrics have a shimmery, lighter, feminine quality to the voice. And so to fight that is just a losing battle. And so part of it is handling the ego within the singer to understand the limits and the foundations of their true voice. Why else do we oversing? Sometimes we just can't hear. That happens a lot. I've noticed, like, for myself, There's been times when I've been, giving a performance or in a rehearsal, and I just couldn't hear a lot. Maybe the acoustics weren't great in the room, maybe the band was too loud, or the accompanist was playing too loud, or the orchestra behind me. Sometimes there's a lot of chaos going on. I love how, like, as soon as I turn on my camera, I'm coughing. It was perfectly fine all morning. Not a cough until I turned on my camera. Thanks for being gracious, guys, and bearing with me. So yeah, sometimes you just can't hear. And as soon as like the background music gets big or the karaoke music gets big and loud, all of a sudden you find yourself trying to compete with it. And that's a mistake too, because you can't compete with, a 100-piece orchestra. You just can't. You can't even compete with a 3-piece trio behind you. So what you can do is resonate. What you can do is feel vibrations in your body and go by feeling and feeling comfortable and feeling good and feeling the resonance in your head rather than belting, singing out the mouth, shouting, screaming. These are all sort of in the same ballpark. What happens when singers oversing, which again is the most common problem I see for singers, and probably the greatest problem I've had for myself, is out of tune, a forced tone, and in addition, a forced look on the face. You can see the neck veins popping, you can see the face looks tight and forced. Like, it's very obvious when someone is in that oversinging mode because they look uncomfortable, strained, and stressed, versus when a singer is just relaxed and chill and just moving the mouth naturally and normally, and just they have this sort of buttery smooth velvetyness to not only their voice but to their face. They can just smile and laugh or frown or cry or do whatever and just move freely. There's no tension or tightness in the tongue and in the jaw and in the face. So yeah, so that's, certain things that happen for singers, and a few different reasons why oversinging is so common. Um, how did I stop oversinging? Well, I still struggle with it to this day. So most of the singing I do these days is on YouTube. You guys can check out my other account, Jenny Lynn Chung, on YouTube. And when I do, it takes a lot to get up a cover. For me, I may have to work on a piece, for weeks, and then finally, I have to get the lighting right, and I have to get the background music I want, and I have to get, everything has to sort of align, and then I sit down to record a cover piece, and it may take me hours to get a decent cover based off of a lot of just moving parts that are going on, even just outside my voice. And the number one reason why I'm going to toss a cover and I'll have spent hours on it and I still won't upload it is because I'm oversinging. So oversinging is something that happens, but I started noticing when I first started to see that singing, really good singing, A-level singers, and that's a Mariah Carey, that's an Ariana Grande, that's a Tori Kelly, that's a Whitney Houston, that's a Christina Aguilera, though Christina in her past has struggled with oversinging. She no longer really does that. She's gotten a lot better over the years. I noticed that when they would sing a cappella or acoustic and I would listen to them, that their voice had a quietness to it. So here's an example. Mariah Carey was giving like an interview. She was like, yeah, I'm 100% paraphrasing, but it was something to this extent where she was talking about a piece of music, and she was like saying something. She's like, for example, she was like, oh, and then we walked down the street. She's like, and then we walked down the street, yeah, do, something like that. I'm totally paraphrasing. I saw this years ago, a decade ago. And when she sang, I was like, wow, that was really quiet. I was like, she wasn't like, and then. She was like, and then 90 butterflies go, or something. I don't know what she was saying. So that was my first introduction to an A-level singer that wasn't screaming. And when they were singing, through the majority of their voice, they were singing. So let's pretend 10 is a screaming, 0 is silence. Let's pretend a healthy person that's not screaming or shouting, is talking at about a 5. She came in and was singing at a 5 too. It wasn't like she was talking at a 5 and then she came in at a 7. She was like, da 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 da, someday I'll wish upon a star. Da 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 da, unforgettable in every way. I was just like, what? She's talking at a five and she's singing at a five. There's an exception. A singer can begin to what I call healthy wailing, healthy, enormous amounts of volume that can be to a singer that really doesn't know the voice well yet, to a layman who's watching, who's not an artist themselves, can sound like a belt, but is not a belt. And that kind of strength in the voice happens in what I call the bread and butter spot of the voice. For most girls in my studio currently, that bread and butter spot is going to be a medium high. It's like going up the piano as I'm vocalizing them. I notice they can start to get into that bread and butter, that wailing, that loud, that almost sounds like a belt, but it's not, section of their voice in sort of as they go up into the medium and medium high section of the voice, and for sopranos, even higher than that. So you will notice when you listen to, for example, Ariana Grande, and let's say she's singing Dangerous Woman, she's going to come in at about, she talks, Ariana has a soft speaking voice as well. She talks at a 4 or a 5, and she's going to come in at a 4 or 5. Did my permission, I get the moment. She might open up a little bit as she goes higher. Back to a 4. But at the moment, she might open up a little bit as she goes high. Save it for later, the taste of flavor, cause I'm a taker, cause I'm a giver, it's only nature, I live for danger. And then she's gonna start to get louder. Oh, that I got skin to skin, oh my gosh, would you stop, boy? So as she goes higher, and then eventually, as the song goes on, she gets into her bread and butter spot where she can really well. It sounds similar to a belt, but it's not about a belt or a scream or an oversing fatigues the voice. And this is not her. Something about you makes me feel like a dangerous woman. Something like that. Clearly, I don't know the song very well. But she doesn't, so that's, we'll call that a 7 or an 8 in volume. But the majority of the piece, if it sits low or medium low, she's at a 4 or a 5. Da 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 da, the taste of flavor, it's only nature, I live for danger. As she goes into the medium high and into the high area of her voice is when she can really give it that punch and that wail. So I always describe it to my students as soft, whispered, easy bottoms and wailing supported, strong, powerful, blow you out of your mind, medium highs and tops. Easy bottoms, wailing tops. So there's everybody has a bread and butter spot in their voice where they can let go. And I mean, I don't want to go as far as saying no two voices are the same, but depending on your voice type, if you're an alto, a mezzo soprano, a soprano, etc., it depends on your voice type. Ariana Grande is a soprano, so her wailing spots are a little higher than, say, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's bread and butter, because Whitney was a mezzo. She was a full lyric coloratura mezzo versus Ariana Grande is a lyric, maybe even on the lighter end, a light lyric coloratura soprano. So since Whitney had a little bit of a lower natural God-given voice type, her bread and butter sort of wailing, powerful, blow you away spot of her voice was a little lower, is a little lower than Ariana Grande's. So it depends on your voice type. And I think it's up to the student and the teacher to figure out where the bread and butter spot of the voice is. And that is where you can support, and if you resonate in the head, and whenever I say resonance, I just mean vibrate. Vibrate and feel vibrations. Like if I'm singing, I can actually feel my head kind of gently vibrating. Something about you do things that I shouldn't. Notice I'm coming back into sort of that 5 volume as I come down. Something about you. I can go back up to a 6, a 7, or an 8 as I get into my bread and butter spot, which is similar to Ariana Grande's, probably, maybe a little lower. Okay? So, yes, voices are different, but if you're having trouble singing high notes, probably you're over singing. Straight up, just singing too loud, screaming, belting, probably. If it hurts, if you feel strained, you're probably just over singing. If you have cracks in the voice and yodeling and like cracks, like, ah! You're like, you feel like, in a sense, you feel like your vocal cords are just like blowing out. Probably you're over singing. You're probably having heavy, grinded out, weighty bottoms and nothing tops. And that's not the way I teach my singers, and that's not bel canto technique, and it's not speech level singing technique. It's the opposite. It's soft, gentle, easy bottoms. And as we get into our personal bread and butter spots in our voice, we can really go. You have to be careful not to oversing in any other part of the voice, especially low and like medium low. Even into sort of the medium sections of the voice, you're still careful. It's not until you get into that bread and butter spot and you do it right that you can really let go. So, also you have to pick repertoire that's right for you, which is why it's important to have a teacher that understands your voice type so that you're picking songs that suit your voice well and highlight your voice the best. So, yeah, that's the number one problem singers have. It will keep a singer at B level singing forever or C level singing forever. This is the problem that many pop singers have, that they're not crossing over into Ariana Grande greatness or Ella Fitzgerald greatness, or who's that girl from Broadway? Jessie Mueller greatness. She was on Waitress in Broadway. They're not able to cross over into, Kelly Clarkson greatness, Tori Kelly greatness, because they're over singing. They're just singing too loud. And so if you really watch your favorite singers that are A-level singers, and we're talking Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey level, you will see this very technique implemented. And you can see it in male singers too, like Luther Vandross, Michael Bolton, Justin Timberlake, like good male singers. Similar, Sam Smith. They understand not over singing and resonating more. And that just simply means feeling vibrations in your body, having a relaxed face and a supported body to do it. So I hope this helps. If you have more questions, go ahead and leave comments below, guys. If you want to talk to me about getting online voice lessons, let me know. Have a good day. Bye.